Tuesday, the big day, the day that all the press and conference in Tampa comes, and we're about to go inside the Jupitarium. Here's our final tour of how it came out. Voila! Faccio un piccolo video. Those are the big weeks. So here we are entering the Jupitarium. And you see Jupiter as we come in. We have a little bit of Saturn over there, over the corner. We just missed the Earth and the Sun, but we'll come back to that at the end. I'll show it to you at the very end. Let's hope we can see it at the very end. So here we have Jupiter, and as you can see, the screen goes all the way around. Jupiter is just about to explode on us. You can see it getting much, much bigger here. And it gets so big that it finally explodes around us as we go into Jupiter. And we find it all the way around us. And then it fades away. And we'll have the seat over here. This is the Antenna Galaxy. The Antenna Galaxy is actually two galaxies that are colliding into each other. It makes us just amazing, beautiful effect as we go through and in and out of it. Zoom around, we find ourselves inside the nebula. So we have all the nice dust, all the crazy stuff that we can't see right now because it's too bright. There, it comes down a little bit. The idea that we've just flown inside a nebula. And remember, this is going on all the way around us, like all the planetariums you used to take me to as a kid. We have a little watch there to remind people to watch. Here we go. We're swimming through to a star-forming region. Here we just came out of a nebula to where places where stars are born, because nebulas birth stars. I'm watching over here because there's a little thing that's about to happen. There it is. You see the Cat's Eye Nebula and the comet, like Halley's Comet that we saw when I was a kid come flying through there. And we're left here in the star-forming region for a little while. This area right over here quite a lot. That's my favorite spot of this sequence. And from the star birthing area we go to a star that's about to die. See the stars flying around us. We zoom in on the star that's about to die. Which takes us to a new nebula. As the stars die, they form a black hole, and as they form a black hole, we get these new amazing pieces of nebula. start to warp out. We come back to our sun. And it explodes. And this is the new watch, the basis, the mechanism of the new watch that they're making. Great. From here, we watch the watch go for a minute. We start heading towards the watch. As we head towards the watch, we find the new and interesting things that are going on here. This is a 17th century replica of the Jovialum, the Jupiter calculator that Galileo Galilei made. What it does is it allows you to see the 4 moons of Jupiter with a telescope, and using those 4 moons of Jupiter you can figure out exactly what day of the month it is. The problem in early navigation was the fact that they didn't know what day of the month it is, and so this was a way to unify the calendars by testing the moons on another planet. And by testing the moons on another planet, Galileo upset the church greatly because of the fact that he proved that there were other planets with moons, and that meant that not everything turned around the sun. So it's a very beautiful instrument because it was just the first thing that allowed people to kind of discover that the Earth was round. As you can remember from the other days, we move into the history. As you can see, it's very, very dark in here. We have the written text that's right now, the history, the early compasses, of which Panerai has lots of patents, the early chronometers, their early watches for the government and the military. They did a series of flashlights or torches. And then the modern stuff, as we move into the United States patents, and the last patent they got, which was for the Busla. On the other side of the wall, we have the historic collection. I'm going to walk you back down here. We start with the earliest versions of the Panerai watches. There it is. And we move you through. This is that classic radio watch. That when you hear about the watches that have the glow-in-the-dark stuff, that it's radioactive and you're not supposed to eat. That's what they're talking about. This is another version of it. Our music is keep going down in the background. This is their first Marina edition. This was the first underwater watch that's only went down to 100 meters, but that was like incredibly deep at that time. This is Mare Nostrum, our sea, our ocean. Again, one of the underwater watches. And we start getting the left-handed watches because commandos wear their watch on their left or on their right hand because they wear other stuff on their left hand, like a depth gauge. And we keep going here. This is the whole collection of historic watches. As you can tell, they're pretty. They've always got the really big handles and the really big hands. So we're going to go ahead and come back down around here, show you one of the later ones. So we start getting into the current collection. And from there we come into the first pendulum watch that Galileo made. This is a replica made in like the 1800s. But you can see that there's the pendulum here down on this side. And we have the first mechanism up here. So Galileo's also great big thing was about time, figuring out how time worked so he could explain things. Then we start to see the current collection. So the workshop of ideas from 1997 to 2010. Which is we come into this room where there are 67 different watches. You can see the reflection of them all there. As we move around the room, you see all the different watches that they currently sell. It's kind of amazing. Here, I'll show you a couple. There we have one of their Luminar series. Here's another interesting one. Black one. Here's a more feminine one in the silver. There's one in tantalum down over here. Let me see. This is the next one. And they get much more complicated tachyometers and we get the ones that can go down to 2,500 meters, 2.5 miles down. They have one of the great big compasses still because it's one of their classic objects. This is the Black Seal compass. And we have lots more watches as we move around. Over here in the center, we have a workstation where usually, and I wish he was here right now, I'd have him show you a watch, but I'll come back and record that later. We have a guy who's assembling and disassembling the watches here. He sits here in this stand, showing people how the watches are made and why they cost so much. On the wall that goes back towards the Jupiterium, we have this video of exactly how the mechanism works, how all the pieces are put together. You know, a 3D rendering of how a video or how a watch like this works. In front of it here in the little Tekka, we have a magnifying glass with all the different watch pieces down below. It's a little bit bright, but here, let's see if I can enlarge. There you go. So you can see up close these things that these guys make, and they're, considering how small they are, you have to see them under a microscope. And here we have my favorite part at the end, which are the bridges. Perfect. So we end up in this room. We come from the room where everything's big and circular, with the desk in the middle, to a brief explanation of the history of Panerai. And then we come into another place where we have another guy doing the more serious, the more modern watches, which are a little bit crazy. And he's not here right now, but you can see that he left all of the watch pieces here out on the desk, which are pretty amazing. Some of them are just minuscule. And they have all their special screwdrivers and headsets and the whole 9 yards. And here's one that's already been mounted back together. Pretty amazing, no? And this is a Tourbillon. It's a very most expensive kind of watches, kind of like Rolexes. They have this little thing that spins around inside of them. I'll show it to you in a minute. And then in the other one, we have the guy who has the 3D model here. So he's got a 3D model of this watch, and for people who want to ask really technical questions, he explains how the mechanism works that makes it work in a certain city on the planet. So as we come back, we have pictures of them working on these things. In the middle here, we have good old Galileo himself, self-portrait. And we have our tribute to Galileo Galilei, the sky, the earth, the sea, the measurement of time. The links between Galileo Galilei and Alfishna Panerai have developed along a course in which astronomy, optics, and mechanics of high-precision instruments and methods of navigation are all intertwined. They explain how the journey starts in Florence, and this is where we find the protagonist of today, which is the Jupiterium. It's a little hard to see. It should become re-illuminated here in a minute. It's made with their glow-in-the-dark material, and these are the people, the brand, that invented the glow-in-the-dark material. And so if I can find some glow-in-the-dark material here. It's set on a timer, so it'll re-illuminate here in just a minute. But since we don't have it, there's a little description of it underneath here. Here it comes. It's re-illuminating. This is an orrery, and an orrery is a kind of model of the solar system. We have actually a video of it up top, where we're taking a fly-through of it, and it's got more than 1,400 pieces that make it all work together. So you can imagine how crazy that video has to be. Yeah, it's something you kind of have to see in real life just because of the fact that it's so incredibly complex. Let's see here, is it re-illuminating again? If we're really quiet, we can hear it ticking. Here it is. And we'll move around it here so you can see it from all sides. And there's the Earth. Jupiter's over here on this other side with all of its little moons that spin around it. And down below here we have the mechanism that drives it. This was the basis of the two watches, the scientist, lo scienziato, and the astronomer. Here's another video that explains how cool this watch is. Here we have a watch. This is the scientist watch, lo scienziato. That's the tourbillon. And here's the watch for real. It's one of those rare see-through watches where not only the front side has a crystal, but the back side has a crystal as well, so you can see it moving on the inside. You see that little piece that's rotating in the upper right-hand corner of it. That's what makes these watches so very special. So here we have our time and space with pictures of these watches. On the other side we have the video of how the astronomer watch works. This is a watch created for astronomers. It calculates sunrise, sunset. Take a look at the watch here. You see it's got sunrise, sunset equation telling you how far the world is inclined. But the part that's crazy, if you look at the back side of the watch, if you take it off your wrist, you can see the tourbillon moving inside, but you can also see a map of what's in the stars. They have to know where you live in the world because it gets set for just one thing, or just one place, and each one is created just for one place. But it's very magic because it shows you which constellations are in the sky at the moment. As we leave, they have a replica of Galileo's telescope, the one he used to see Jupiter. And last year, this was in outer space. They took this telescope to space to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Galileo looking through his telescope and seeing the stars. Or seeing Jupiter and the stars. But mostly seeing Jupiter. Here's a technical guy. And these are the 5 new collections of watches. Ciao. Hey, how's it going? Good, good. I'm making a video for my parents.
Oh.
Yeah, so here we've been working on all these days. This is the guy who makes the very special watches from Switzerland.
And
Toulon. Look at that. That's just amazing. 5 years in school to even start making watches. So very, very intense work.
You need to be a little bit crazy.
And you need to be a little bit crazy, indeed. Try making video. Grazie. Thank you. And so from here, we come back out. We have the great big poster at the end, which has the great big picture of Jupiter, Officina Panerai. And if we get to the credits, you come down here, we have the thanks to the Museo Galileo, the photographic credits, the images courtesy of NISA and NASA, and then right here, design, we associates Alberto Grassi, Gianluca Patini, Troy Robert Noctegal with our production team. From there, we slide back out, and we find ourselves once again inside the Jupiterium. They have it paused right now because we're about to start another tour. So after you've had your head totally spun around, you exit from here, and we find ourselves once again on the ground back in Florence. Un piccolo video. And there, right over the top of the door, it's written, without emotion, time is only a watch that goes tick-tock. Love you guys. Bye.